Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're talking about some of the less obvious signs your crush might be flirting with you. And I'm not talking about the usual run-of-the-mill stuff like direct compliments or winks from across the room, because let's be real, we've all heard those before. Instead, we're going to dive into the subtle, almost secret signals that can slip under the radar if you're not paying attention. These are the kinds of signs that in hindsight make you go, oh my gosh, I had no idea they were into me. Why are these sneaky signs so important to recognize? Well, some people feel too shy or too awkward to flirt the typical way. Or maybe they don't even realize they're doing it because flirting can be super personal and unique to each individual. So if you want to pick up on those hidden clues, especially when your crush isn't giving you anything, keep watching. Because by the end of this video, you'll be an expert at spotting whether that special someone might be dropping some not so obvious hints. All right, let's jump right into it. Here are my top unexpected signs your crush is secretly flirting with you. 1. They use group chat as an excuse to connect. Then privately, they follow up. We're all pretty used to group chats, be it for work, a class project, or just friends catching up. But have you ever noticed that your crush will initiate a conversation in the group chat, asking a random question or sharing a funny meme, then a few minutes later, DM you privately to keep that conversation going? For example, let's say you're all talking about the new blockbuster movie in the group thread. Suddenly, your crush sends you a private message saying, "By the way, I remember you mentioned you liked the lead actor. What did you think of their performance?" And then they start asking you more and more questions about your thoughts and interests. This is actually a sneaky flirting tactic. They use the group setting to spark a topic and then pivot to one-on-one chat to spend quality time with you. It's subtle and it won't feel over the top flirty, but it's often their way of saying, "I'm really interested in your opinion. Let's talk." But just the two of us. 2. They seem nervously eager to hear your critique or opinion. Ever have your crush show you something they're working on, like a sketch, a piece of writing, a new guitar riff, or even a half-baked idea just to get your perspective, just to get your opinion? Sure, people might share their work for feedback in general, but if they're specifically looking to you for critique and low-key hoping you'll praise it, that can be a very personal form of flirting. They want you to see a vulnerable side of them. Not only do they trust your viewpoint, but they also want to bond over this process of creation. It's them saying, "Hey, this is important to me and I care about what you think." If your crush lights up or gets adorably flustered when you give them positive feedback, or they keep asking follow-up questions in a way that extends the conversation, there's a good chance they're trying to connect with you in a meaningful way. 3. They make a big deal of offering you small comforts. This one can be so easy to miss because it feels almost parental or simply kind, but that's why it's a subtle flirt. Think about those moments when your crush asks you, "Hey, are you cold? I have an extra sweater," or "You seem tired. Do you want some water?" If they're going out of their way to offer tiny gestures of care, it's not always just politeness. In fact, some people's way of flirting is by looking after you in small ways. They might grab you a slice of pizza before it's all gone, or text you to remind you that you've left the umbrella behind because it's going to rain tomorrow. They want to be someone you can rely on, and that's pretty darn sweet. It's a nurturing, low-key flirting style that's often overlooked. 4. They start acting clumsy or overly chatty when you're around. Some folks get hyper-aware of themselves when their crush walks into the room. Their heart starts racing and suddenly they're doing silly things they wouldn't normally do, like knocking over a drink, fumbling with their phone, or talking a mile a minute about random topics. It can be easy to think, "Oh, they're just clumsy," or "Wow, they're just really talkative." But sometimes that clumsiness or chatter is actually a sign they're nervous because you make their heart flutter. They might be trying to fill the silence so they don't lose your attention. It's not a textbook flirting technique, but it's definitely a window into how you can make someone so flustered that they reveal their deeper feelings without even realizing it. 5. They become curious about niche things you love, even if they're not into them. So let's say you're absolutely obsessed with collecting vintage vinyl records and you're super into a niche K-pop group, for example, or you're studying medieval history because it fascinates you. If your crush starts asking you questions about that specific interest, things like, what's the best place to find rare vinyls? Or which K-pop comeback are you most excited for? And they're actually engaged in your response, that's a not so obvious flirting sign. They might not be into that particular thing themselves, but your excitement and passion makes them curious to learn more. It's a subtle way of saying, I want to see what makes you light up and I want in on that world of yours. Trust me, most people don't invest genuine curiosity in something they don't care about unless they care about you more. 6, they invent mini traditions for the two of you. Have you ever had a crush say something like, we always end up being the last people to leave the cafeteria. Guess it's our thing. Or, we really should make Tuesday our coffee day, right? That's them creating a mini tradition with you. It might be as small as grabbing the same snack at the vending machine every Friday or walking to the parking lot together after a late class. These mini traditions are like secret rituals that belong to just the two of you, and the fact that your crush is naming it and pointing it out like it's a special routine can be a strong indicator they view your connection as unique. It's less obvious than the usual, hey, want to go on a date? But in their mind, they're building a comfort zone where the two of you can interact in a consistent, almost intimate way. 7, they use self-deprecating humor in a way that invites your reassurance. Everyone is different when it comes to humor, but self-deprecating jokes can be an odd sign of flirting. If your crush lightly teases themselves, like joking about how their hair never cooperates or how they have zero hand-eye coordination, and then they pause, almost waiting to see if you will reassure them, that's often a quest for validation from someone special, which is you. Many people try to gauge a person's interest by putting themselves down just a little bit, hoping the other person will respond with, no, you look great, or I actually think that's kind of endearing. This type of flirting is subtle, but it can be quite telling. The minute you jump in with supportive words, you'll notice them lighting up, and that's a sign your affirmation matters more to them than you may actually realize. 8, they secretly coordinate their plans or schedule to align with yours. Another unexpected sign is when your crush starts to subtly align their schedule with yours. Maybe you always go to the campus gym on Wednesday mornings and suddenly they start popping in around the same time. Or perhaps you love grabbing coffee from a specific cafe after work and you notice they've made a new habit of just happening to be there as well. Yes, these could be coincidences, but if it happens consistently, especially after you've mentioned it, they might be planning these overlaps to create spontaneous run-ins. It's their way of increasing face-to-face time with you in a setting where it doesn't feel forced. If you gently ask, hey, do you come here every Wednesday too? And they get a bit flustered, that's your clue. Guys, flirting isn't always obvious. Look for shared interests, personal vulnerability, and coincidental encounters. Pay attention to patterns. If they consistently show up, pay attention, and make you feel special, they might be into you. If you notice these signs and you're interested, you gotta let them know.